not bury the lead here. Sony has been trying to build a universe without Spider-Man, focusing on the Spider-Man villains. You may have heard of it. Madam Web, Morbius, Venom, and tomorrow, which, by the way, Sony, impeccable timing on this announcement, which it's not, Sony didn't even really announce this, but tomorrow, Kraven the Hunter comes out. Kraven the Hunter, who the director of the movie is pleading. He's he's almost begging for fans to give this movie a chance. He wants a trilogy. He's come out and said that if he gets to a third Kraven movie, he wants to adapt Kraven's Last Hunt. He wants us so badly to come into the theaters. The momentum on this movie has been nowhere near worse as just terrible. It's been absolutely terrible. It's projected to open to like $13 million. Now, on top of that, a new report comes out. A new report is out now, and this comes to us from the comicbookmovie.com, and they are saying that Sony is killing off its Spider-Man villain universe. Sony's Marvel spin-off films are done, but Spider-Man will continue. So here's what they say in this article here. Sony's line of Marvel films centered around the Spider-Man universe characters continue this week with the opening of Kraven the Hunter. But according to a new report, it'll also mark an ending of sorts. A detailed report claims that compounded stumbles of Morbius and Madam Web and a Venom trilogy of diminishing returns, even all those bungled plans from 2010's Amazing Spider-Man franchise, are making Sony press pause on its attempt to build a separate Marvel universe. Instead, it's being said that all of the efforts are now turning toward working with Marvel Studios to make Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. They've developed what they want to develop for now, a top talent agent was quoted as saying. It's really about the next Spider-Man film. The rap points to some ominous low early tracking and hype measures for Kraven the Hunter, as in there is no hype, as everything that Sony is concerned about. Kraven marks Sony's third Marvel-themed film released in 2024. Madam Web had a budget of 80 to 100 million and made just 100 million at the worldwide box office. Kraven the Last Dance cost 120 million and its box office haul was 472 million, was just over half of what the original film earned, and less than the sequel film earned while releasing in the midst of the COVID pandemic. That cannot go understated. A movie released in the COVID pandemic, when the theaters around the world weren't all fully opened to more had more box office than a movie released in 2024 right now, where the box office is thriving. That's insane. Kraven the Hunter cost a whopping $130 million, and unless some Christmas miracle takes place, it's looking like it could potentially be the biggest flop of all three of the Sony Spider-Man universe films released this year. Kraven the Hunter would have to earn over $300 million at the box office just for Sony to say that it earned a combined $1 billion from its 2024 Marvel movies. The fact that the studio could end the year not even being able to make that claim is a depressing indictment of the brand and may be the state of the superhero movie genre in general. I don't know about that. The biggest issue with the Sony Spider-Man spinoff seems to be the lack of quality control. The movies just aren't good, an insider was quoted as saying. Sometimes that lack of quality meets a movie no one asked for, which was the case of Madam Web. And that is a no-win scenario. It may be time for Sony to start cultivating different IP to launch new franchises. It's also noted in the wrap that Sony's not only focusing on Spider-Man 4, but the studio is still putting efforts on the other area of the brand that has managed to be a breakout success, the Spider-Verse. All right, so important thing to point out here that I think is being missed by a lot of people, because I've seen a lot of articles, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos being made about this. The Sony universe is dead. Sony is killing off their universe. They're not killing off their universe. They're pausing their universe. I read another report that said Sony said they're at least not going to put a new Spider-Man villain movie into production for at least the next 3 years. They're putting all of their focus, all of their energy into Spider-Man 4, into the Spider-Verse, or across beyond the Spider-Verse, and that Noir series over at Amazon. Now, before we pop the champagne, before we start jumping up and down with glee, which I'm sure a lot of us are, I want to do something that not many people are doing. And I'm going to give props to Sony. I'm going to give props to Sony on this. Sony, as much as we like to poke fun, as much as we like to, as fans or the non-fans of these movies, like to roast and poke the Sony bear, this is a very smart move, and this is a very humbled move to make from Sony, because these Spider-Man villain movies, as much as they don't make much in the theaters, Sony doesn't really need to depend on these movies making much in the theaters. Their deal with Marvel, they've still owned the rights to Spider-Man. Spider-Man movies still make over $1 billion. They're not hurting by these movies. The brand is hurting by these movies. The Spider-Man brand under their name is hurting by these movies. But Sony could have continued on. Sony could have just lowered the budget. $50 million for an El Muerto movie or whatever it was going to be. Yeah, the box office keeps diminishing, but they don't really need to care about that because they've got so much else going on that's making them money. This is really just so they can keep the rights as close to the chest as possible, because Sony needs to make a Spider-Man movie every 5 years, or at least have one in production every 5 years in order to hold on to the rights for Spider-Man. So that's really all they were using these villains for. We gave Spider-Man to the MCU. We still got to make some more movies. So they tried doing these villain movies. And I give them props for trying. I wish that they had actually put effort into their movies, which was clear with Madam Web they are not. But they tried. And they also are recognizing now it's not working. It's not working. The fans don't like it. We're not turning out. Kraven's looking to open disastrously. They could have been stubborn. They could have stuck their heels into the sand and said, we're going to keep going. We don't care. But props to them. They're stopping. They are listening to the fans. They are taking constructive criticism, and they're actually stopping these movies. Now, as someone who in no way, shape, or form was a fan of these movies, hallelujah! Woo! Yeah! All right! All right! Woo! Yeah! Oh, music to my ears! Music to my ears! Woo! This is great. This is really, 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 really great news. And it's not just great news because these movies were total garbage and I don't want to see them anymore. And I know I don't need to watch these. I go and watch them to be part of the conversation. And honestly, it's been fun. As much as I haven't liked those movies, it has given a lot of fun conversations and a lot of fun roasts within the community. So I'll forever be grateful to those movies for those moments. But just in the comic book movie genre realm, these movies weren't just hurting Spider-Man and Sony. They were hurting the comic book movie genre. We have had 3 of these movies this year. And I will say it. I will make the statement that this has been the worst comic book movie year since the big comic book boom back in 2012 or 2010, whenever you want to count it. This has been the worst year. Aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, which thank God for Deadpool and Wolverine single-handedly saved this year, this has been the worst year with Joker 2, with Venom 3, with Madam Web. Horrible. And it's nice. It's nice to know that at least for the next 3 years, 4 years, whenever they put a movie back in production, we don't have to worry about it. And I like that Sony's efforts are going to where Sony's efforts should be. The Spider-Man character. Focus on the Spider-Man character. Put all of your resources into that character. Whether it be Beyond the Spider-Verse, whether it be Spider-Man 4, like they are doing. This is what they should be doing. This is exactly what they should be doing. And they're doing it. They're actually putting a halt on these movies. Maybe they start back up again. Maybe people are right. Maybe this is the end and we never, ever see another one of these movies again. I'm not going to lie. I would not be heartbroken to hear that that was the case. But even if they start up again, even if they feel like they want to turn it around and try to restore this villain universe. They're stopping. They're actually stopping and putting their efforts into stuff that we actually want to see be good and successful. So, with that said, I will be seeing Kraven this weekend. I will be dressed in black, as you do for a funeral. And like I bid this universe adieu. Whether I see you again or not, I really don't care. But you're gone. Woo!